All right, to discuss, I'm now joined by SABC reporter Bulelani Phillip. He's outside our studio in Parliament. Bulelani, so this has been closely watched. It's been going on for months. The culmination today, tell us blow by blow what happened in Parliament.
Well, good evening to you, Francis, and the viewers. Of course, there was high anticipation ahead of the adoption of this report in the National Assembly. Of course, first out of the stumbling blocks was the DA announcing just before that debate in the National Assembly that if the House had adopted the report, they would have no option but to actually head to court to try and have that report reversed and sent back to the Constitutional Review Committee. Of course, going into the National Assembly, we already knew that who was in support of this motion and who was against, and of course all those things play out. But in the end, it was a numbers game with those that are in favor actually voting with 209 votes as opposed to the 91 votes that were against that motion. So it's going to go through now, and we expect that particular report to be tabled before the National Council of Provinces tomorrow. Thereafter, it will come back to the National Assembly where the ANC has already indicated that it will bring another motion that will actually give a way forward as to how this proposal of amending Section 25 of the Constitution will unfold. Francis?
I wanted to ask that, how long before the Constitution is physically actually changed?
Well, Francis, legislation making is something that really you cannot tie a time frame to, because through the public participation process, we've seen that there's quite a sizable or a tranche of people who actually would like these particular proposals not to go through. So, as I've indicated earlier, the DA has already indicated that it will head to court to try and halt the process. But with regards to how it will unfold, we can anticipate that on Thursday, when the ANC actually announces a motion, it will actually give maybe some approval of that Parliament must be in a process of bringing this bill that will actually lead to the drafting of this Section 25 of the Constitution that will give effect to land expropriation without compensation. But with regards to timeframes, it will be difficult to tie it down to how long it will take.
Bulelani, so it was very clear here that the ANC was for, the EFF was for, the DA was against land expropriation. But tell us more about the split in Parliament, some of the smaller parties and how they voted today.
Well, Francis, if I can take you through the people, or the parties rather, that actually voted for the motion, for the report to be adopted, was that it was the ANC, the National Freedom Party, the AIC, the Economic Freedom Fighters, the UDM and the APC. So those are the people who voted for the adoption of that Constitutional Review Committee report. Of course, on the other hand, those who voted against that report is the DA, COPE, the ACDP, the Freedom Front Plus and the IFP. So you can see that it's somewhat a split down the middle, but in the end it ended up becoming the numbers game of which political parties had more seats that actually voted in favor or against the tabling of that report.
All right, and the numbers for are strong. So the DA's only recourse is through the courts. It has threatened that. How quickly could that happen?
Well, now that the report has been adopted by the National Assembly, I suppose it's only a matter of time before they go to court. But I would suspect that they will also first wait for that report to be tabled and debated on in the National Council of Provinces. And if that second House of Parliament approves that report, it's then they would then conclude that the processes of Parliament are actually concluded. That's when then they can go to court. You'll recall that last week, one of the issues that made the Forum application to be dismissed by the Cape High Court was that the court felt that it was not in a place of interfering with the work of Parliament before it's concluded. So I suppose the DA was cautious not to approach the courts before the parliamentary process is concluded. But when that process is concluded in Parliament, one that can then suggest or anticipate that they will be approaching the courts thereafter.
All right, thank you very much, Bulelani Phillip, reporting live from Parliament. Parliament has effectively decided that the Constitution will be changed to allow for land expropriation without compensation. So it's almost the end of the road. It's just the change to happen. But there will be legal challenges, no doubt. Many suspecting that this could go all the way to the Constitutional Court to decide on the constitutionality of what Parliament has decided.